War for the Planet of the Apes is the highly anticipated third movie in this rebooted Planet of the Apes series, and it's directed by Matt Reeves. And the story this time around is apes and humans are at war. They've been at war for a while now. Humans are starting to become a little more scarce as far as population goes. And Caesar is trying to make peace with the humans, but humans keep screwing him over, and he has a big bone to pick with Woody Harrelson's character, the Colonel, and he goes out on like a quest of revenge almost. It's like a Western style thing, and that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say about the plot to War for the Planet of the Apes, because I want you going in knowing barely anything like I knew barely anything. Like that's just the briefest amount of plot what I just explained. I am gonna keep no spoilers in this video. It's gonna be very scarce on story information, as I said. We're just gonna talk about this movie, and this movie is so good. This movie is great. War for the Planet of the Apes is a moving, intense movie that's both powerful and dark. It's one of the darkest blockbusters I've ever seen in my life. It's drenched in dread, but it's really good. It's not pretentious. It doesn't come off as wanting to be dark and brooding just for the sake of being dark and brooding. I think it's legitimately a good way of ending Caesar's story. And speaking of Caesar, Andy Serkis gives one of his best performances in this movie. He is Oscar worthy in this movie, as is he in the rest of these movies. He is so good in this movie. The first time you see Caesar, he is broken. You can see it in his eyes. He has seen things. And I love that about this movie. And how they dealt with the events of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes in this movie, carrying over to this movie, it really works. And I thought it was great. And Caesar's such a complex character, as is Woody Harrelson's character, the Colonel. A dude who you don't really know whether to hate him or not, because it's like, these movies are great at not painting a picture that's just very black and white. It's very good at having both sides kind of equal, and everyone's just trying to survive, and they just have their own ways about it. And that's what I like about this movie, because like, you kind of drawn to hate Woody Harrelson's character, but you understand him, and you totally get why he's doing the things he's doing, even if it's not entirely right, which makes him a fantastic villain. I guess he's kind of a villain. But yeah, Woody Harrelson is great in this movie, and he has one of the most like effective monologues in the movie with Caesar's in the scene, obviously. They have great interaction with each other, not in like a chemistry way, but like their leadership stances with one another are really, really good. And the CGI and motion capture work in this movie is so good. Like, it's some of the best I've seen in my life. These apes look so real. It's like, I want to reach into the screen and touch their fur. You can see every little piece of fur on them, or whatever you call ape. Yeah, just fur. We'll say fur. But yeah, you can feel every little bit of fur. It doesn't feel like a human acting as acting like an ape. It feels like these apes have grown intelligence. They're people too. I mean, that's what I love most about these movies, is it kind of paints the picture that's not really black and white. It's more straightforward, where apes are kind of like humans. As much as some of them may hate humans, by this point, they know they're kind of like us. And that really works in this movie. And yeah, as I said, performances are top notch. As is the editing, which is, it's some of the best editing I've seen this year. It's up there with like It Comes at Night and Baby Driver. It's also up there with those movies as far as cinematography goes. This is some beautiful cinematography. This movie looks gorgeous. And the score by Michael Giacchino, I believe it is the best score all year, hands down. The score is fantastic in this movie. This is such an epic, raw movie with such, as I said, raw emotion, and it's so moving. It's powerful. It's so good. And as I said, the Western-like feel. This movie, I don't know if many people have caught on to this. I've seen a couple people who have, but this movie has a very Western feel in its story and its environment, and it's almost like Revenge Quest, uh, and it really works. Down to the ending, it feels like a Western, which I'm not going to spoil the ending, but it's great. It's a great way to end Caesar's story. I loved it. And, okay, now we're going to get on to some things that aren't great. But first, I do want to talk about two more things that are great, that I've written in my notes here. The relationship between Nova, the little girl they find in this movie, and Maurice, the orangutan, is so poignant. It's so beautiful. It's one of my favorite parts about this movie. I love that relationship between those two, and it's beautiful. And also, I want to mention that this movie feels very grounded and realistic, and like there are a couple things where it's kind of conveniences and stuff, but I mean you had to have that in this movie to get away with some of the stuff they did. But I mean, it's barely noticeable because it creates a grounded reality around everybody. Everyone feels broken. This environment feels lived in. I love it. All right, now for a couple things that I didn't like. So it's not a perfect movie, but I did love the movie. But there are two things that I could pick out, and it's been almost a week since I saw the movie, so these are the only two things I could find. Alright, Bad Ape. The character of Bad Ape, played by Steve Zahn. Okay, I like Steve Zahn as an actor, and I think he does okay in this movie, but the character of Bad Ape is really annoying. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that. I couldn't stand Bad Ape for a large majority of this movie. He's not on screen a lot, and there's a couple scenes where he's okay. He's tolerable in a couple scenes, but he gets really annoying in his introduction scene, and I was like, you kind of just lost any... In that certain scene, I was like, you kind of lost any almost like tension that was building in that scene, and it kind of deflated that for me when he was introduced, and his comedic timing is a little off, I think. As is a lot of the comedy in this movie. There are moments of levity in this movie that I feel are deserved, but my problem with it is it wasn't very funny, so it just kind of felt like it took me out of it for a sec. And that's my only real problems with this movie, because War for the Planet of the Apes is one of the best movies of 2017 so far, and it's kind of beautiful. It's epic. It's a great end to the story. I'm pretty sure we're going to get more of these movies, but as far as Caesar's story goes, this is a great ending to his story, and I'm going to give War for the Planet of the Apes an A. It's beautiful. I love it. It's the best in this franchise as of so far, I guess. As of so far. Whatever. But yeah, that's my review for War for the Planet of the Apes. Go see this when it comes out on July 14th. This is a beautiful movie. I loved it. So yeah, it's my review for War for the Planet of the Apes, so peace.